All right, let's go with the full show. How are you? We missed the weekend, but it is Monday. It's never too late to talk some sports. I am Brett Rump. This is the Sports Rush with Brett Rump. Adam Lundy's not going to be on hand this week. We tried to coordinate our schedules all weekend. Today was his day off. He took a little personal trip and having almost a 1 day vacation as he and the little lady took off and had a nice little day away from Fort Wayne. So it'll just be me, but I got plenty to talk about. Pacers, Oklahoma City. It's a huge game 5 coming up tonight at Oklahoma City. And the Pacers drop game 4. And we'll talk about how that happened, what needs to change, who do we expect to win in this game 5. That's all coming up on today's show. Also, it is a very positive return to the WNBA for none other than Caitlin Clark. We'll break down her performance against the New York Liberty and what the Fever accomplished in that game over the weekend. And of course, we always enjoy you being a part of the show. You can always leave your comments. You know what we really like is when you subscribe, you like, and you share the channel. We need your help to do this. We are trying to keep the Sports Rush rolling here on YouTube. Love doing the show. Love bringing you all the insights on Indiana and Northeast Indiana sports. But the only way we can do it is if we get your support and assistance. So please, it's totally free. You don't get emails, text, or any kind of solicitation. There's no extended warranty offers, nothing. All you do is click the button. It's just a nice thing to do, and you can be added to our subscribers list, and you can let other people know that you are following and you have subscribed to the Sports Rush on YouTube. Now, here's what we normally do. Normally, we will break in and we'll give you little 10-minute snippets here and there on current breaking topics, but we'll also once a week try to recap everything going on by giving you a full show. Generally, those shows are going to be live. This one happens to be on tape only because I'm going solo. And so decided to just tape this one and throw it on so you can see it before the Pacers take on Oklahoma City. But for those of you that listen to the radio show for so many years, we appreciate you. You're valuable to us, and especially to me. I can't tell you how blessed I have been to have you as a listener over the last 9.5 years on radio. But now you get to take a look at me. I don't know if that's a positive or not, but that's the way it is here with YouTube. And so you get a chance to see the studio, you get a chance to watch the show, and you get a chance to listen. If you're in the car, you want to pop it through your speakers, you can do that through your phone and your Bluetooth device. A lot of places and ways that you can take in the show each and every week, each and every day. And make sure to, like I said, share it, because I still every day come across people that say, oh man, I was so bummed when I heard your show wasn't on. And for many people, it took 2, 3 weeks before it really clicked with them that it's gone. It's really gone. He's not on a vacation. It's been too long. He's not on the air anymore. I mean, there was no announcement. There was no fanfare. There was no final show. There was no goodbye. It was just, that's it, and on to the next, and this is the next. So thank you for being a part of the Sports Rush on radio. But now I'm glad to have you as the audience with the Sports Rush on YouTube. Hey, it's been a fun week. Of course, we're getting into what many would consider to be a slower time of year. So thank God for the Pacers and the run that they have made in the NBA playoffs, because it gives us prime topic to talk about on this show. Really does. I'm thrilled to be able to talk about the Pacers in Oklahoma City coming up tonight in OKC. And I enjoyed watching the game on Friday. It worked out. I was at the ballpark with my daughter and her fiance, by the way. They came all the way up from just south of Greenwood, and they spent the evening in Fort Wayne, never got to see a game, but they went home, and after the game was rained out, And I ended up being able to come home and watch the game. They were able to get home in Greenwood and watch the second half. So I guess the consolation for not having a Tin Caps game was we both got to take in the Indiana Pacers OKC. Unfortunately for them, they didn't see as much of the bright spots as I did because I got to watch the first half. But that was a heck of an NBA basketball game. Anybody thinks they're being cheated because they're two small market teams, get out of here. This is good basketball. It is competitive. It is two teams with 5 players on the floor for each squad working their butts off. And for the Pacers, that's one of the things that we have seen in the playoffs, different than the regular season. You know, you cannot push people to their limits on the defensive end for 82 games during the regular season. You can't do it. You'll wear them down. You'll pull a Tom Thibodeau. He's a guy that pushes guys to their limits during the regular season, where Rick Carlisle, he used a deep bench, kept guys fresh throughout the 82-game schedule. And the Pacers just did not have the same intensity and energy on the defensive end consistently during the course of the season that we're seeing here in the playoffs. This is a different defensive team for the Pacers. They were at times a very average defensive team, and that may even be putting it kindly. But in the playoffs, they've been a pretty solid defensive team. I'll tell you this, they're working hard. They only had really one game where they were kind of flat defensively and got beat on a few backdoor plays and some things like, got beat on some penetration. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, let me just say this before you weigh in and say, well, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can do what he wants. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of those unique talents that no matter how good you are defensively, you're not going to win every battle. He is going to get past you. He's going to use a crossover. He's going to use maybe a little bit of a push off. He's going to create space. He's going to get his shot up. And you have to hope, number one, you can make it as difficult as possible for him to score and make him consume as much energy as possible. But also, you can't just let him get to the basket, break down a defense by forcing double teams and then leaving other guys open, especially at Oklahoma City, where some of these role players, Isaiah Joe and Alex Caruso and other guys, are going to hit three-point shots if you give them looks. Even Lou Dort has hit some three-point shots at home. That's what they do. And when you take that group on the road, usually your role players are not nearly as effective traveling as they are when they're at home. It's just a fact. Role players are more valuable on their home court than they are when they go on the road. And so Oklahoma City is going to be really good tonight. I can tell you that. The question for me is, how good are the Pacers going to be? That fourth quarter, which was really a flip-flop from Game 3, where the Pacers were the ones that were down. The Pacers were the ones that won the fourth quarter by 14 points. And the Pacers were the ones that won the game. It completely flipped. OKC was down. OKC won the fourth quarter by 14. OKC won Game 4. It completely flipped. But that fourth quarter is going to mean something tonight. I just don't know what. For the Pacers going into it, it is either dejecting, demoralizing. Maybe they still have it in their heads. That's one that slipped away. You got to put it in the rearview mirror really quickly. And I think with Pascal Siakam and Rick Carlisle, two players, or player and coach, two people, individuals that have had experience in the NBA Finals, I think they will relay that message and it will get across. In that case, use it as motivation. Go to the court tonight feeling like you've got to get one back that you had earned in Game 4. It didn't happen, and now you've got to go earn it over 48 minutes and steal it from OKC on their floor. That's what the mindset has to be for the Pacers tonight. How does it happen, and how did Game 4 end up happening? Well, first of all, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got hot. And you can say what you want about the officials. And there were a number of borderline calls that did not go the Pacers' way. Was it intentional? I doubt it. I think that's just too hard to do. But I do think that when you swallow the whistle and then all of the contact is coming from one particular team and you're trying not to interfere with the game as a referee, then it looks like you're intentionally not calling fouls just to give some team an advantage. And I think that's the way it kind of looked. But clearly, the Pacers had a few calls they didn't get when they got bumped, pushed, elbowed in the face. And then you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander drive to the basket, clearly a push off, and then a four-step drop back to take the jumper right in front of the official, doesn't get called. I mean, that's a blown call. That's an absolute miss. But that's part of the game. If it happened in the middle of the first quarter, no one would be making a big deal about it. It just so happened that it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and it was just over 2 minutes left to go. It gave Oklahoma City a lead that they never relinquished. So then it becomes important. Then it becomes banter. Everybody wants to talk about it, break it down, analyze it. But ultimately, the Pacers have to be better. They had a lead going into the fourth quarter, 7-point advantage. They're on their home floor. You can't let games like that slip away. It's a 7-game series. You've got to win 4 before the other team wins 4. You can't just give 1 away when you've only got 7 games to play with. So it's a disappointment. Pacers need to get 1 back. Now, you could say they already got their 1 back. This was OKC getting theirs back. And yeah, I could probably understand that argument because Pacers did kind of steal 1 in game 1 in OKC. But tonight would be a nice time for the Pacers to win the second in Oklahoma City. The Pacers have been a good road team. They've responded to the road atmosphere really well, but it is going to be crazy at OKC. They understand the importance because they don't want to, their fans, their team, they do not want to have to go on the road to Indy at Gainbridge Fieldhouse with a chance for the Pacers to win the whole darn thing. And so to guarantee the game 6 doesn't matter for OKC, they want to win game 5, and they figure their consolation, if they don't win it in 6, is to have game 7 at home. So that fourth quarter in game 4, we mentioned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was terrific down the stretch. He kind of took over that game. What did he score? 14 of the last 15 or something like that for OKC. But the Pacers, they didn't do things you need to do to put the game away. First of all, what happened to the flow of their offense? Did they intentionally try to slow things down, create a half-court game, which is not their game? Because they got away from the three-pointer. And the Pacers have to hit threes because they get rolling when they hit threes. They're better defensively when they're hitting threes. They seem to get more of a bounce in their step, play with more confidence. But they were hitting threes all night. And then all of a sudden got to the fourth quarter and they only hit 1 3-pointer the entire quarter. And they can't let that happen. They've got to continue to play with their flow, their pace, and do their things, even if they're ahead on the scoreboard. It's just got to be that way because that's how they are at their best. And you don't want the other team to come back because you are not reaching your potential. And the Pacers didn't reach their potential in that fourth quarter. They allowed Oklahoma City the opportunity to do what Oklahoma City ended up doing. And a lot of it was the pace of play. I thought the Pacers, instead of bouncing the ball around quickly, I mean, you watch, that ball's like hot potato when the Pacers really have it flowing offensively. They get it in the front court quickly, then they bounce it. Halliburton, boom, to Nembhard, boom, to Nesmith, boom, back to Nembhard, boom, to Turner. Halliburton comes off a screen, handoff from Turner. Halliburton, a kick out to Siakam. I mean, it was just boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden in the fourth quarter, you watch, the Pacers did not have that same type of flow and movement. It was dribble, 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 maybe get a screen. Just the entire game, the pace and the flow of it completely changed. And as a result, the Pacers, I think, played Oklahoma City's game in that fourth quarter, allowing the Thunder an opportunity to come back. And credit to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is not just about the Pacers. OKC played with desperation, and we've talked about teams that get desperate, and Oklahoma City showed desperation in that fourth quarter. They understood the significance of being down 3-1 and having to win 3 straight games against a team that has not lost back-to-back games the entire playoffs. In fact, they haven't lost back-to-back games since early March. And so OKC understood the whole series might be riding on that fourth quarter, at least for them, and they found a way to come back. Now tonight, Pacers have to play their basketball, and I think more important than anything, they've got to hit their shots. What you've got to do is take a team that's going to have a ton of energy, a ton of excitement, and you've got to just take that air out of the arena. And the way you do it is you hit threes, because you'll feel the crowd just, when the Pacers are going on one of their runs, or when they continually hit threes when it's a close game, or whatever that situation might be. But that has an effect then on the way the game is played. And so the Pacers need to be able to play in flow, take good three-pointers, 10-toed threes, as Coach Kaufman from Purdue Fort Wayne calls it. You need to be able to catch it, line up the 10 toes, get a good solid release, and shoot at a high percentage. I think it's time for Miles Turner. Now, we could use the excuse he was sick, but he wasn't very good in Game 3. He didn't do a great job in Game 4, other than he had a couple of plays here and there. But it's not been a great series for Miles Turner, especially when you consider that he's matching up against guys much smaller than him. And Holmgren smaller, not in height, but just in stature and strength. And then Turner goes up against Hartenstein. Come on, it's Hartenstein. If Miles Turner is really worth $30 million a year, Miles Turner should be dominating Hartenstein. And so, this is an advantage that the Pacers should have. And so far, it hasn't shown up in the box score. It's time for Miles Turner to step up and say, hey, I want to lead this team to a title. I don't want the team to carry me to one. He's the face of the Pacers because he's the longest tenured Pacer. I know Tyrese Halliburton's really kind of taken over as the face of the franchise. But Miles Turner's been the anchor. He's been the one that's been there the longest. And he cannot be satisfied with being carried to a title thanks to some good teammates and good moves, player personnel moves by Kevin Pritchard, Chad Buchanan. He's got to be the guy that says, hey, this one's on me. This one's on me. It's our time. And so Miles Turner has to be big, literally and figuratively. And the Pacers have to take advantage of Pascal Siakam. He still has not had a breakout game. Pascal Siakam generally has, in every series, has one of those 33, 34, 36-point type of outbursts where he just literally can't be stopped. Mid-range, at the basket, even hitting threes. And especially that mid-range step back, which is kind of a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander type shot. But so far, he's not really had that breakout performance. Ready for that to happen. And of course, it's always important that Tyrese play at a high level. And I'm not going to put a point total on Tyrese because he does so many other things besides points. But he needs to be able to engineer the offense and make good decisions. Nembhard has to be big. I thought Nembhard continues to play better and better and better. He's very engaged right now. He's very active defensively. He was not good against New York. He was non-existent against Cleveland. And now against OKC, he's been kind of vital. And so Andrew Nembhard, don't know why I messed up his name, and I do that quite frequently. Andrew Nembhard has to be big for the Pacers. And as we say, Aaron Naismith has to be able to maybe get one of those little flurries where he hits 3 or 4 threes, because that is a dagger. When you take the third or fourth option on the floor for the Pacers, and all of a sudden he is bearing 3 points at a time. He has 17, 18 points. That's huge for the Pacers. Defensively, we know what has to be done at this point. You got to make it physical and tough on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and try to wear him down. The coach of OKC, and I'm not going to try to say his name because I'll screw it up, Diagno, he has changed his rotation slightly to get extra rest to some of the key players. And you'll notice Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was off the floor in the first quarter, and it's been customary throughout the playoffs that SGA plays the entire first quarter. He did not. He played the first 8 minutes and then left the game in Game 4. It's worth noting that they've realized the type of play and the type of energy that you have to take on the Indiana Pacers for 48 minutes. You better be rested in minutes 40 to 48. And it did make a difference, I think, down the stretch for SGA because he was hand down on his knees, bent over at the hips in Game 3. And in Game 4, he's torching the Pacers for 14, 15 points down the stretch. So the Pacers, though, do have to continue to try to wear on SGA because the one thing is it does force them to take him out of the game, and you would think that Oklahoma City's not as good with him sitting on the bench. The other thing is Alex Caruso. How has this guy been as impactful as he has been? He has been basically to Oklahoma City what TJ McConnell is to the Pacers. He's the energy guy. He's the one that kind of gets under your skin. He's tough defensively, plays with a lot of grit and effort. But man, have you seen anybody that has more clutch and grab and gets away with it than Alex Caruso? Constantly reaching out, grabbing, holding. It's just ridiculous. Call the foul. But Caruso gets away with it a lot, and I don't understand it. I mean, it seems like every time someone goes to drive on him, he's got a way of getting a hand or an arm in there and slowing him down. What do we expect tonight? Generally, when the competition rises, the scoring decreases. And so you'd expect it to be a defensive game, which is probably the reason I think it won't be. Because what's the strength of both of these teams? Well, Oklahoma City's obviously been a great defensive team this year during the regular season. But again, I think the Pacers paced themselves and are now playing at a different level defensively in the playoffs. But both teams are good offensive teams. And I think when you have to play your best has to kind of shine through. And for both these teams, that's scoring points. I tell you, the one guy that I just keep waiting to have his big breakout game, Isaiah Joe, and I mentioned him earlier. He is a guy that can all of a sudden, especially at OKC, get hot from behind the three-point line and drop 5, 6, 7 threes. And he's gotten a couple of looks, and he's passed up a couple of looks. But I think at home, he'll take some of those shots, and he hasn't played a lot of minutes. But if he does get out there and he gets any kind of looks and gets hot, he'll play more. And so he's one of those guys I've been concerned with because it's like when you start to pinch and focus on guys like Williams and SGA, then a guy like Isaiah Joe becomes the star of the series by having some breakout game that's a huge game that swings this series. Pacers are trying to avoid the first time in the playoffs of winning or losing back-to-back games. I think they're going to come back and play well. They've done it every time. It doesn't matter if it's been home or away. They've done it every time throughout the playoffs. They've responded to losses, and I think they'll respond again. What cracks me up is that Vegas doesn't have a whole lot more confidence in the Pacers than they had in the Pacers when this series started. I mean, the first couple of games, the Pacers were 10.5 and 11-point underdogs. Now they're 9.5-point underdogs. So what, you're telling me that winning 2 games out of the first 4 just basically means one measly point. So I think the value's in the Pacers. If there's going to be a one-sided game, this could be it. Why? Because the Pacers may not play as a desperate basketball team, and Oklahoma City might. That's as simple as it can be. The Pacers, they know the real desperate game is going to be game 6 on their home floor. And the game that they have to win on the road would be a game 7. This is game 5. I know it would be nice if the Pacers could come back home with a chance to win the title, but is it in the mind that they're desperate? OKC does not want to face another game in Indianapolis in a must-win situation because they just stole game 4 and they don't want to have to do game 6 to keep their season alive. So OKC is going to approach this game as the desperate team. And I hope Indiana matches that intensity. Because if they don't, this could be a 20, 25 point loss. That's not what I expect, but it wouldn't shock me. I'm going to say that this game's close. I still think Oklahoma City is probably going to win the game. But again, it's been an entertaining series. I think the Pacers can win game 6 at home. I hope that game could be won to give the Pacers the title. But it's tough to win back-to-back or win 2 games out of 3 in Oklahoma City. But again, just when you count the Pacers out is when the Pacers surprise everyone. So I'm hoping they do it tonight. Give us your thoughts. Make sure while you're connected, you subscribe, you like, you share, you comment, and you can even ring the bell so you can get alerts when we do go live or have new content. And that is all right here with the Sports Rush. Big thanks to all of you for tuning in. Once again, make sure it's absolutely free, costs you nothing. You don't get on anybody's kind of target list for emails or text or solicitations or directed comments. I mean, nothing. It's just a nice gesture to hit the subscribe button when you're watching content. That's just the nice thing to do. So if you could do that, click subscribe. Certainly appreciate it. All right, so Saturday, huge game for the Indiana Fever, and even bigger when it was announced that Caitlin Clark was making her return. Well, I'll be honest, I don't know about you, but I thought she's been out for a couple of weeks, almost 3 weeks, and I didn't expect a whole lot. I thought cardio, she's not going to be in tip-top shape. She's going to have to kind of get her legs back. It's a tough opponent. You've got the last remaining unbeaten team in the WNBA coming in to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I didn't expect what I saw, and I was pleasantly surprised by just how dang good Caitlin Clark was from the very beginning of this game against the Liberty. She hit 3 threes in less time than it took to run our intro video at the beginning of this podcast. She ended up in the game scoring 32 points. I think she had 25 in the first half. 7 of 14 from beyond the arc, and many of those were from beyond the area code. 11 of 20 from the field overall. She had 8 rebounds. She had 9 assists. She should have had 10 assists. Good God, ladies, make layups. You know, I'm getting sick of these videos where they keep putting them out for the Indiana Fever where they're hitting half-court shots and having I say, put out a video at the end of practice making contested layups, even semi-contested layups. How many three-pointers are you really going to shoot to win a game? You know what matters? Layups. I used to tell my son, and if you've listened to the show, you've probably heard me say this once, twice, or about 3 dozen times. Three-pointers are sexy. Half-court shots, really cool. But games are won and lost with layups and free throws. And so every time we were at a gym or practicing, step one was layups and free throws, make them, work on them. Then you can step outside and take the 3-point shots. But the WNBA has a problem across the board. It's just the sport. I don't know why they don't make layups. Now, they don't have the advantage the men have where you can just slam it in. But the men don't miss layups at this rate. I don't get it. I mean, to me, it does diminish what has become an outstanding product with women's basketball. I mean, I know the years 10, 15, 20 years ago, oh, women's basketball, too slow, not athletic enough, played below the rim. Everybody wanted to knock women's basketball. And now it's hard to knock women's basketball when you've got players like Caitlin Clark, who might be the best overall player in basketball, men or women. But she was outstanding. And once again, she's bringing eyeballs to the television sets. People are not watching because of anyone else in the WNBA. There is no one else in the WNBA that brings people to their television sets like Caitlin Clark brings people to the TV. That's the truth. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not try to make everybody's feelings not get hurt by saying, oh no, the product's good and it's elevated because there's so many good women at all these teams. The public doesn't care. Doesn't care. If it's not Caitlin Clark on the tube, it's still women's basketball. But if it's Caitlin Clark, it becomes must-see TV. She moves the needle dramatically. I mean, people that were sold this whole Angel Reese star player topic, they've come to learn not that entertaining. Misses a lot of shots, has really lousy footwork, loses her balance a lot, gets a lot of me-bounds, pads her stats by missing and getting the rebound off her own misses. I mean, people have figured it out. Angel Reese is not entertaining to watch play. Oh, sure, you could sit there and watch the 40-minute game and at the end be saying, oh, wow, I watched her get 11 rebounds that day. I can't believe I watched all 11 rebounds. Or you could be talking about the 7 threes that Caitlin Clark hit from the logo. And then some of the passes where she slipped it right through 3 defenders down to the basket for a layup. It's not the same game if it's not Caitlin Clark. And so the WNBA got a huge boost by having Caitlin Clark come out with the Fever. And after the Fever had scored 50-some points the entire game, their game before, without Caitlin Clark, they score 53 in the first half against the New York Liberty. So they get 58 one game, the entire game without Clark. They get 53 in the first half with her. She is the MVP. There shouldn't be a dispute. There shouldn't be a question. Shouldn't be an argument. I'm not gonna try to complain about A'ja Wilson being a great player. She's a fantastic player. But if you talk about MVP, most valuable, somebody who makes everybody else on the court better, it's Caitlin Clark and it's no one else, period. So the Fever get the 102-88 win over the Liberty in front of a national television audience, and they give the Liberty their first loss, and they do it by 14 points. And so now everybody in the WNBA has at least one loss. The Fever are 500 after enduring, 3 or 4 games without Caitlin Clark. I think they had 4 games without her. But Clark ended up with 32 points. Sabrina Ionescu had 34 for the Liberty. Brianna Stewart, 24. And for the Fever, you had 22 from Kelsey Mitchell, but she was only 3 for 10 from behind the 3-point line, and 14 from Lexi Hull. Leah Boston, you got to be better than 4 for 10. Leah Boston cost Caitlin Clark at least a double-double because she missed a couple of layups on feeds from Clark. Got to make those shots. You get to the rim, you got to score. Kelsey Mitchell missed a wide open breakaway layup. That was frustrating. All right, how about those Florida Panthers? What happened with Edmonton? I mean, you're going home. I know it's a long plane flight all the way down to South Florida and all the way back. But man, Edmonton didn't show up to play game 5. They were slow. They didn't have any kind of energy. 50-50 plays were 80-20 in favor of the Panthers. I mean, the Panthers just skated circles around Edmonton the entire game in game 5. And the Panthers end up with a 5-2 victory. Now they're back home tonight. Time to skate with the cup. I can't imagine the Panthers are going to lose another home game. I think they take care of business. I mean, Connor McDavid individually could probably beat you. He's that good. But I don't think it happens. I think it's the Panthers. Right now, you've got a goalie controversy in Edmonton. They don't know which goalie to have out there. Skinner got pulled. Pickard comes in. He ends up not being great. Now you go to a game 6. You must win. Who do you trust? Skinner, Pickard. Edmonton's got a big question and a dilemma at goaltender. That's not the place to be here in the Stanley Cup Finals. Facing elimination. So the Panthers, I think, win game 6. I don't think, if you need any motivation, if you're a Florida Panther and you need any motivation, it's like win tonight or you're going to have to get your butt on a plane for a 6.5-hour flight back to Edmonton. Oh, and be ready to win a game 7 in their building. I just don't think Florida's going to let it happen. Florida's going to go back-to-back. They're going to win it tonight. Very confident. And so congratulations to the Panthers. I'll say it now because I truly would be shocked if they do not win this game. Give us your thoughts. Always love to hear from you on the comments. And make sure you subscribe. You do want to do that while you're watching. Share this too. Share this with your friends. Let them know that while they're looking at the video that's being shared, whether it's on X or whether that's on Facebook, however you want to share it, make sure too that you put a little comment in and say, hey, this is a channel you might want to subscribe to, and encourage your friends to be subscribers as well. But make sure you subscribe, you like, you share, and leave your comments. Always love to have those. And if you want to be aware of when we're posting new content, just make sure you click the bell and you'll get the alert. So Saturday, went to the semi-state, and Caden Kroll, the left-handed pitcher from Valparaiso, basically put the end to Snyder's season. And you've got to give him credit. A no-hitter from the lefty from Valparaiso High School. He's going to be going to Notre Dame. He's actually going to be a teammate of Brandon Logan from Snyder, who he struck out twice. But he ended up pitching a no-hitter in the semi-state semifinal, and Valparaiso beat Snyder 7-0. Kind of appropriate that for Snyder, kind of known as a powerhouse football program, that they would lose in the semi-state by a football score, 7-0. And a no-hitter for Caden Kroll. He was a lefty, bringing it at 91 to 92 miles per hour. Had a good slider, a curveball, changeup. I mean, he showed the whole repertoire. He's got all the tools. He's a name to be watching. I wouldn't be surprised to hear his name with this Major League Baseball draft coming up next month. I would not be surprised at all. But he was outstanding. And then Valparaiso did go on to beat Goshen, who is the surprise winner over Westfield in the other semifinal. And so Valparaiso heading to the 4A state championship game coming up this Saturday night. What else? Today in the College Baseball World Series, Mike Monaco, former TinCast broadcaster, got to call a no-hitter. Gage Wood from Arkansas went the distance, pitched a no-hitter against Murray State, and the Racers are finished. The Cinderella season comes to an abrupt end. No hit today by Arkansas's Gage Wood, who brought it at 98, 97 all day long, just overpowered Murray State. And then a nasty curveball mixed in. Would have been a perfect game, but he did hit a batter in the seventh? Was that the seventh inning? But other than that, nothing against Wood. So Arkansas ends up winning the game 3-0, and Murray State is finished. Graham Kellum did get on the mound, gave up 2 runs immediately upon coming into the game. That extended a 1-0 lead to 3-0, but then he settled down and pitched. I think the last 3 were scoreless. I think he gave up the runs in the sixth, or was it the sixth? And then the seventh, eighth, and ninth were scoreless, or the game up in the fifth, and the sixth, seventh, eighth, whatever, however it worked out. He didn't pitch poorly, had a little tough start, then settled down, pitched pretty well. But a great run for Murray State, but it comes to an end. And so that was the news from the College World Series. Mike Monaco got to be on the call on ESPN. All right, we're going to let you go. We'll have reaction video to whatever happens tonight. Game 5, Pacers, OKC. Who you got? Leave them in the comments. Or you can always follow me on X at Brett Rump Sports. At Brett Rump Sports. Love for you to follow me. Maybe you want to message me. Whatever. I'd love it. But I also love having you as a subscriber right here before you go. Subscribe, like, share, and always comment on our videos. Gotta go. Go Pacers. We'll talk to you soon.